We're back, baby. We are back.
We are so back.
So, raise your hand if you missed the pod. I hope you're raising your hand along with us at home.
hmm
It is currently January 25th, and the last time we filmed was
It was in the summer, guys, like
it
August.
was it was summertime. Summertime and the living is easy.
hmm
Fish were not jumping because of the pollution. That wasn't that funny. Um, doodly doodly doo.
Anyways,
My
welcome.
name, if it's okay, if it's your first time,
It was the first time.
I usually have longer
Welcome.
hair. If it's your first time, so watch older episodes to get like the full idea. This was something, this is a special occasion. Um, go do it.
If this is your first time watching the pod, welcome to One-on-One Ratio Pod. And if you're coming back, welcome. We missed you. I'm so glad that you're here with us again.
My
Um,
name is Yoav Akiva,
my name is Melina Nazarian.
and this is One-on-One
One
Ratio Pod,
Ratio
the
Pod.
podcast where we
Are
talk
we
about
talking about
everything
everything
about
but
movies.
movies?
Do you hear the voice crack on that one?
No, I didn't.
Okay, good. So we won't talk about voice cracks either. Um,
Hmm.
so much has happened in the world and in the film industry in the last 4 months. It's
So much.
insane. So we could have done like a 6 hour recap of everything, but we did that actually, and it's on our Patreon. So
Yeah.
so for our Patreon subscribers. But on this episode, we're gonna do a special episode. Um, we're gonna cover the Oscar nominations that came out on Thursday,
Yes, sir.
and we're gonna talk about what we watched in the last 2 months, and then we're going to talk about a very, very special movie from a very, very special late director, the Straight
The
Story
straight story.
by David Lynch. May he rest in peace.
Rest in
We'll get to it
peace.
later, guys. But it is quite a somber pod for his pod since he passed. So but we'll get to it. We'll get to it. Should we start? Should we just start rolling with those Oscar nominations, man?
I think we should. Let's do it.
Um
Okay.
I, where are you
Um,
looking at the list of nominations? Because
I
well, it's
am
the
looking
same
at,
everywhere, isn't it?
yeah,
Let's
I
see.
was looking at Variety.
Mhm. All right. Should we start with let's start with best supporting actress. Zoe Saldana, Emilia Perez, Isabella Rossellini, which I'm really happy about that nom. It's her first nomination in her entire
Yeah,
career,
her all her
which is
career.
insane. We
Crazy.
we covered Blue Velvet on this podcast, and that's like one hell of a performance.
Yeah.
I don't care who else got nominated that year, but it's crazy she wasn't. Felicity
It's
Jones in The Brutalist.
yeah, pretty
What do you
deserved
Yeah,
nomination,
yeah. I mean, there
but
is the whole conversation of is she that much in the movie? Like, but she is. She's just in the second half, and the second half in itself is feature length, so
I
there's no
mean,
reason to.
Isabella Rossellini is only in like 4 minutes of Conclave.
Is she? I haven't
Yeah.
seen it. That's amazing. And she got the nom?
Yep.
Insane. Does she have like a monologue or something?
Like one. Yeah.
Interesting. Ariana Grande for Wicked, which is a really nice nom,
I
right?
will say the most shocking nom though is Monica Barbaro in A Complete
Right.
Unknown.
That's why I went to
Um,
that one last. Insane.
yeah. Crazy. Was
Yeah.
not expecting that. People thought it was gonna be like Selena Gomez, Jamie Lee Curtis maybe, but
I'm
no, it was
happy. I'm happy this new actress got a
me
nom over
too.
Jamie Lee again.
Yeah.
Or especially over Selena Gomez for
Oh
her
God.
um
Oh God.
wonderful performance. Yeah, but a complete unknown, and I'll also actually mention Joan Baez in our dissection of the Straight Story, and I'll explain that later. Um, should we do like a? pick and prediction as of January 25th? Or do you want to keep that for a different?
Ooh, let's maybe keep that different.
All right, all right.
Yeah.
Um, Best actor in supporting, Yura Borisov in Anora, which is an
Hmm.
amazing performance. Kieran Culkin, A Real Pain. Ed Norton, A Complete Unknown. Guy Pearce, The Brutalist, and Jeremy Strong in The Apprentice. The Apprentice got a lot of surprise kind of little twists in the
Yeah.
acting
Um,
categories.
Pretty
So
crazy. People were saying that Terrence Macklin got snubbed for Sing Sing. Um,
yeah,
I have not seen Sing Sing yet, but I don't doubt that it was a snubbed performance. You
why?
know, what do you mean?
Why was it snubbed? Why wouldn't it be snubbed?
No, I said I don't doubt that it's a snubbed
Oh, you don't doubt.
performance.
I heard I
Yeah.
doubt.
No,
Yeah.
no, no.
For sure. I mean, it is a really strong lineup though. I mean, Borisov and Honora, Culkin, I've heard is amazing. Ed Norton, I don't know. I haven't seen A Complete Unknown. I
I
won't
mean,
touch that. Um,
he was good.
all right.
Personally,
I
if I'm being honest, I don't see A Complete Unknown as an Oscar movie,
right.
just like how I don't see Wicked or Amelia Perez as an Oscar
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
So, but I guess out of all three of those, I would like to see A Complete Unknown the most. But to
Mhm.
me, it's just like, like these are big box office films that do well, that please the masses,
Mm.
but then bringing them into the Oscars is interesting. Um,
Yeah. It's
Especially like, I don't know, every year there's always that biopic
yeah.
kind of,
I mean, Wicked is quite the spectacle. Like I do enjoy that movie, and I think I would nominate Ariana for a supporting performance. So
Okay.
that's that. But yeah, it is also a shitty movie in its own right. It's quite interesting. I would probably nominate it for a thing or two. Um, Speaking of Wicked, Cynthia Erivo, Best Actress nom, not great singer.
Yeah.
But is it Best Actress? Is it Best Singer or Best Actress? Is what I'm saying. Do you see
People
that
were
video
saying
of
that,
Jacques Audiard watching the nominations, and then he's like sitting next to Fernanda Torres, and they nominate Cynthia Erivo, and he's like, and then when Fernanda Torres gets nominated, he's like, ah!
isn't he
Or
the
no, not
director of
Fernanda
Amelia
Torres,
Perez?
Carlos Sofia Gascon. He wasn't next to Fernanda Torres. I made that up. He was next to his actress from Emilio Perez, Carlos Sofia
Look,
Gascon.
I don't want to be too forward, but I am not happy with all these Amelia Perez nominations.
No.
Um,
Have you
and
seen it?
I refuse to watch it.
Oh, okay.
And I have seen way too much of it on my Twitter timeline. So, fuck that movie.
Man
Oop.
to woman, woman to man, man to
Man
woman.
to woman, from penis to
I
vagina.
see, I see, I see. Okay, okay.
Yeah, no. Um,
Yes, yes, yes. Anyways,
what else? Okay, I do want
Mikey
to say,
Madison for Honora, which is probably
oh,
my pick, but we'll talk about that later. Demi Moore, The Substance, which is yeah, we'll talk about The Substance when we talk about what we watch, because
stay tuned for potentially an episode where we just talk about our picks and our
and
uh
predictions. Yeah,
predictions.
that would be sick.
Yeah,
And Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here, which brings us to, well, I guess we'll do actor first, but that got surprising presence in
yeah.
the Oscar nominations. Best actor in a leading role. Adrian Brody, of course, for The Brutalist. Timothy Chalamet for A Complete Unknown. Coleman Domingo for Sing Sing. Ralph Fiennes for Conclave, who famously says that he's
Rafe.
not really interested. Rafe, really?
It's Rafe Fiennes.
Um, that he's not really interested in campaigning for a best actor win. He's just interested in get receiving it if he deserves it. So
It's
he's not
true.
really into, and so that's why, I mean, I don't know. He could have been a stronger presence than what he is, but for now, and Sebastian Stan playing Donald Trump in The Apprentice. Um
Crazy guys.
Yeah,
Crazy. I'm
insane.
shocked he got the nom. I honestly really thought it was going to be Daniel Craig in Queer, and then he
I
just
would have
came
liked
in.
that actually.
I would have as well because I don't know what the Academy has against my man Luca Guadagnino
Yeah, they don't like him.
snubbing challengers for best score,
No, they just don't like him. It's stupid. Um, he also came out
not
with two
giving
bangers
challengers
this year.
cinematography or
Right,
editing,
right.
but then giving it to Amelia Perez.
Well, Emilio Perez is its own thing. I don't know if you've heard the Oscar expert talk about. He was talking about like how it works so well as like a as like an allyship kind of
Yeah,
thing for the
yeah.
Oscars, where it's like the subject matter concerning Mexico, the subject matter concerning trans rights, the subject, but
Of
but
course.
it's uh, every community that it is supposedly represents in like a positive way or sheds light on hates the movie. So like collectively hates the movie.
Yeah.
So it's insane. Um I think The Apprentice is another kind of allyship kind of nomination, even though I've heard better things about The Apprentice than
Do you think it's
Amelia.
an allyship with like I
No,
don't
I
think
don't think
it's
that's the main reason, but I think
I
I
see
don't know.
because the Apprentice I haven't
I
seen it
see, I
yet.
see.
I haven't seen it yet, but I
Right.
know that it's obviously like
Well, we will
um
both be watching.
yeah, it's a it's criticizing
Mm.
Ray, what's his name? Cohen, I think, or
Ray
whatever.
Cohn.
Yeah. Um and about how like this evil started, and
Right,
how
right.
this man like had his claws in Trump and really planted that evil, I guess.
Yeah, but it doesn't really excuse Trump because of some kind of
No,
abuse yeah, I don't know.
absolutely not.
We'll have to watch it.
I don't think that's the message of the movie,
No, absolutely
but
not. For Best Picture, I mean, we got the nine that we thought would be there: Honora Brutalist, Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part Two, Emilio Perez, I'm Still Here. People were debating about Nickel Boys, but we basically thought it would be Nickel Boys slash Sing Sing and A Real Pain. But instead of Nickel Boys slash Sing Sing, we got I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, not Sing Sing, The Substance, not No Real Pain, Wicked, and I'm Still Here.
I'm shocked about I Am Still Here
It's
getting
insane.
into Best Picture.
It's
That's
insane.
insane.
It's insane. Um,
Crazy.
did the Brazilians? I don't know how
I
they
guess
managed to do that.
so. I
It's
guess
insane.
so,
It's
but I'm
crazy.
sorry. A year ago, everyone was saying Sing Sing, Best Picture frontrunner, Best
Yeah,
Picture front.
yeah.
Sing
But
Sing, nowhere to
it's
be
not gonna
seen.
win any Oscar.
Probably
So
not, which is
yeah.
really sad.
Any other
Unless it pulls, which I don't know, unless it is able to somehow pull the screenplay.
screenplay with no picture nom?
Yeah.
Hmm. No. Anyways, any other subscribers surprises?
Um, I guess the other one that I was shocked about was the fact that Flo got into international film.
That was nice. That was
Yeah.
nice.
People were
When is
saying all the light, what is it? All the
All
light
We Can Imagine Is Life?
thank
Yeah,
you.
Oyo
But that
Capone.
did not get in, and
Insane.
Flo got in
Weird,
instead.
because All We Imagine got a lot of fucking hype
Yeah.
earlier this year. But crazy. I thought it would go in instead of some other pick that I hadn't heard of.
But
Um, but it didn't.
I
So
don't think, I mean, Flo is not going to win international film,
right.
but I'm really rooting for it to win best animated film. Um,
I want to
yeah,
watch it. It seems
over
cute.
Wild Robot. That's what I said it. I said it. Let's go, Latvia.
All in all, um, Emilio Perez 13 nominations, Brutalist 10. So yeah, Emilio Perez is probably my prediction at the moment before DGA PGA for Best Picture. And that's sad to say.
I
Sad
I
to say.
literally like don't know what's gonna happen, but I don't know. Part of me still thinks that right now The Brutalist has a shot of winning Best Picture.
Anora's dead picture-wise, right?
We don't know yet.
Hmm.
We have to
I
because none of
yeah.
the what's it called? None of the DGA, PGA
Yeah, we'll
critics
see. We'll see. We'll
have come
definitely
out
see.
yet. BAFTA too. We don't know
Interesting.
what's gonna happen at BAFTA.
Yeah, we're yet to see. Um, but yeah, that's how we are Oscar-wise right now.
Yep,
Anything else to add?
that's it. We'll go
Should
into
we?
more detail in our own video.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. That will be coming up after all the other award bodies do their
Yeah,
voting shit. Should we move on to what we watched?
let's move on to what we watched.
All right. Should we do like a little back and forth kind of thing, or how do you want to do it?
Um, yeah, I'm gonna keep mine short and sweet. I'm not gonna go into too much
All
detail,
right.
but yeah, let's do like a little back and forth action.
Kind of 1-1 kind of situation. I started my month. Well, the first remarkable thing I watched this month was a movie by Alice Rochewar, which is the director of La Chimera, called The Wonders, and that was like really just like rural and stunning, and like her movies are just like in between magical and realistic, and like they feel like something from the long past and fr something from the recent past and something from the recent times and something from the future all at once, and it's like you're somewhere in some benign space that's also incredibly realistic and down to earth and just so beautiful. So that was like one hell of a way to start my December. Yeah.
Hell yeah. December feels like it was so long ago at this point.
Yeah.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Yeah.
I watched some uninteresting films, some rewatches, whatever. But I watched John Waters' film Cecil B. Demented, and that was just life-changing, revolutionary, so good. I don't know, man. I just so iconic, so many iconic quotes. And the message of the film is so beautiful. So if you're into that kind of
I have to watch.
raunchy,
I have to watch.
John Waters, go
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah.
Go watch.
Um, Speaking of raunchy, Jackass the movie on December 5th, I see here in my diary. Crazy, funny, and shit. Yeah. Um,
Um, I watched okay, I in theaters I watched Queer. Oh, Luke Guadagnino's Queer. Guys, oh my
I'm
God.
yet to watch
I
it. It's not coming out where I am yet.
Such a beautiful, majestic film. You just have to go in, watch it, analyze it for yourself, and then after you watch it,
Yes.
go read my review because I'm very proud of my review.
It's a
But
nice review. I read it without seeing the movie.
yeah, um, I don't recommend doing that because it spoils some stuff. But
Well,
oh
I
my,
didn't read the whole thing, but it
okay,
was really well worded.
thank you. So beautiful. Daniel Craig, Drew Starkey, powerhouse of actors working together. They become one. Oh, so good.
Well, um, I also watched two new things in theaters. Gladiator 2, which was I don't even need to talk about it. Not as good as the first one. Represents some issues in modern day cinema, but also kind of fun. Um, Pedro Pascal was not like in it to win it in that one. And then I watched Anora, which is just a stunner, and everyone knows that. I also watched The Substance, which I really didn't like. Read my review if you'd like. Just it's I really don't like it. It's
Guys,
really
that's it's so lame of Yoav to not like the substance.
it's not even
So
lame. The
man.
movie is lame. The fucking movie is lame. I'm sorry. Like what? Have our standards went to shit for horror films?
It's not okay, it's not fully horror, I don't think. And no, it's just a different horror, okay?
If
Whatever. Well,
different, you mean like different from other? good horror movies, and yeah, it's different in that it's bad. It's
Whatever.
not
Speaking
good.
speaking of different, I watched A Different Man with Sebastian Stan and Adam
Mm.
Pearson. I cried 5 different points in this film.
Whoa,
Beautiful. I wish Sebastian Stan got nominated for this film instead of The Apprentice because this movie
really?
is off the charts. I mean, it's like one of those things where you have to you like I highly recommend you go watch it. Adam Pearson, I want to see him in more things. He's so great. I wish he was, considered for Best Supporting Actor, um, or at least in the talks because he is just like really like the star of
Yes.
the movie.
Yeah.
Um, but so good and very like similar to The Substance message wise. Message wise, not
Maybe I'll
visuals.
hate it. I'm kidding. I like the
He'll
substances.
like it because
Like
it's
I
about a
agree with
man
the
this
substance.
time.
I agree with the substances message, but that's like fucking anyone can agree with it because it's so simple and shallow. Um, sorry. God. Well, gonna get a lot of unsubscribers for that one.
Yeah.
Um, then I did like a Chantel. Oh, does this cancel out the fact that I hate the substance because I watched a bunch of Chantal Akerman feminist films?
No.
Sorry. Um, Blow Up My Town, which is like a kind of a Godardian kind of. She's like young. She's like right out of high school in that one, which was it was good. It was really good. The Chambre, which I made Meli watch, which is just an amazing, amazing short, belongs in a museum. And then I watched Hotel Monterey, which is just one that I haven't stopped being able to think about. It's so depressing. It's so dark and gloomy and self um like reflexive. I don't know how to describe it. It's one fucking hell of a documentary and it's silent. So yeah, it will bore you to tears and it will also sadden you to tears and like there's so much beauty in it as well. It's quite the experience. Yeah, and I also watched Paper Moon, which is a classic, Raising Arizona by the Coen brothers. Yeah.
Okay.
And okay, what else in
No, go
December?
ahead. You want to do one more?
No, go. We'll
Okay.
finish off December after.
Um, the last 2 films I watched in December, Nosferatu and
Wow.
Baby Girl.
Okay, we can talk
Um,
about both of those now because those are my last two watched as well. What do you
Great.
think?
Um, Nosferatu, I really enjoyed it. I
Stunner.
I mean, gorgeous. Gorgeous cinematography.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Is
Holy
it my
shit.
favorite, the most gorgeous movie of the year? Yeah.
Honestly, probably.
It's so
It's
gorgeous.
oh my God, there's everyone knows there's this one shot in the movie that when I saw it on the big screen, I like actually like
Which one are
almost
you talking about?
passed out. It's like the one with like Nicholas Hoult standing in the
And the
middle of,
hills.
yup.
Yeah, right, right.
I almost
Wow.
passed out in the
That
theater.
was fucking beautiful, man.
I will say though,
Wow.
and I am very proud of Nosferatu for making it. It's made a lot of money and it's
Mm.
hit the mainstream masses,
Right,
which I wasn't
right.
expecting. My screening of Nosferatu was sold out, and lots of
Wow.
people, who I was not expecting to be into that type of stuff because
Mm.
it is gothic, it's vampires, and like
Right,
it's not your typical like Twilight Interview with a Vampire. No,
right,
this is
right.
like grotesque and gross and Victorian era
Yeah,
repressed sexuality and all that. So
yeah.
some people in the
Such
theater,
like and it crosses boundaries a lot. Like the
yeah,
violence towards children in one
yeah,
specific scene is terrifying. The themes of like sexual child abuse,
yeah.
that kind of stuff is like it's difficult for like
But
a normal audience.
but they were seated.
Wow, it's nice. That's nice
Yeah,
to hear. Um, another crazy theater experience was Baby Girl. Baby Girl was crazy.
yeah,
In theater. It's interesting to analyze on like a message front and like what it's trying to say about everything it's showing. But I don't know if I'm the authority to talk about it. You know what I mean? So I'll just say that it is fun on like a as like an erotic kind of like movie that kind of shocks you as it goes into cinematic taboos that you don't see a lot. And like Nicole Kidman is perfect for the performance, and so is Harris Dickinson, who's just like a really attractive guy in general. So I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I really liked it. Like my theater experience was pretty great. Six people walked out.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Which I'm like, why? But whatever.
Not
Um,
everyone can handle the shit we watch. Like,
I guess, but it's like it's okay, whatever, whatever.
it's not
Anyways, I really
even.
liked it. I Ow, sorry, my neck is like, I don't know what's going on. I really liked it. Is it perfect? No. Did I give it a higher score than it deserves? Yes, but only because
What'd you give it?
I gave it a 4.5.
Okay.
When in reality the movie's a 4, but I gave it a 4.5 because I just I just had so much fun. And I support women directors and
Yeah.
I want more movies like this to be made. And I think we need to especially in a time like this when, conservatism is
Hmm.
being pushed into everyone's face. We need more of these kind of like erotic films to keep
Yeah.
people alive.
I mean, on one front, what's interesting about it is that a misogynistic viewer can see it as, oh, even females, even the CEO even the female CEO wants to get dominated, or
Right.
which is stupid, right? But
Very
like
stupid.
that's one way you can see it as, which is like a whole thing. It's like kind of self-comment, like meta commentary in that way. And on the other hand, it tackles the false idea that the only reason why like women inhibit masochism is because of like a male fantasy and all that. Like that's, it's saying that like kinks in women is just something that's coming out of the patriarchy and there's nothing else to it. Because women can't have sexual interests. Um, and it tackles that idea really well. So it's
Hmm.
it's good. Speaking of new releases, we both watched The Brutalist,
Yep, we
which is
did.
really good, which is really fucking good. It's
Yeah.
great. Um, I don't really have anything to add that I didn't put in my review, so check it out. Um, Meli,
Um,
Brutalist.
yeah, honestly, like I at this time right now, I don't have much to say either. Not because I didn't like the movie, I really enjoyed it. I think it was a great movie experience. But I just think it's just too dense to tackle right now.
Right, right. And I hope the Oscars. I just don't feel like the Oscar voters will know how to eat that movie, like how to digest it. But okay.
We'll
I watched
see.
two David Lynch's Mulholland Drive and Lost Highway. Yeah.
I also
Um,
watched two David Lynch's. I
which
watched
one?
Wild at Heart and Inland Empire.
I mean, we can talk about it a little in the context of the straight story and shit,
Yeah.
but like those are great movies. I'll just breeze through September, January really fast. The Room Next Door, new Almodovar movie, very postmodern and very grief-stricken and depressing. It was a really hard watch. It was really, really difficult to watch. But also the dialogue is really simplistic. You can tell it's his first English language feature. I don't know. Performances were really good though. I watched Sean Baker's Tangerine, which was epic. And today I watched The Phantom of Paradise by Brian De Palma, which is kind of like a Rocky Horror-esque cult movie, musical, horror, comedy, whatever the fuck that movie is. Satire. Really recommend that one.
Okay, and then I watched wait, what is that called that you
What?
watched?
Phantom of the Paradise.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna add that to my watch list.
All right.
Okay. I watched A Complete Unknown in theaters. I said what I had to say about it earlier. Um, and I watched The Player.
Wow! I forgot you watched that. What'd you
Yeah.
think? Isn't that the fucking craziest ending of all time?
I
Isn't that ending amazing?
Yes, I was gagged. I was like,
Oh,
what the
it's so
fuck?
good.
Oh my God. I
Oh
was
my
like,
God.
yeah, so good.
It's
So
it's
good.
slow in like Altman's movies are very slow. It's slow in like the most Altman-y way, but it's also
Yeah.
really involving and also one of his most commercial movies. It
Hmm.
and that's so weird to say that because it's the most anti-commercial film and it's so good. So
I
that's
great film. I had a great time and I want to dive deeper into his filmography. So I'm very excited for that.
yes, yes, yes. I'd love to see you do that. Um, anything else worth
That's
mentioning?
it.
Amazing, amazing.
Should we
Should
move on to
we?
our next
We'll
segment?
do it. We'll go straight into the story. Straight into the straight story. See you there, guys.
Eh,
All right. Um, sh- we'll start yapping soon about the movie, but I think we should first start about a little about David and um how the last week has been and like
Yeah.
I think it's just it's a very good um kind of summary of David's themes when it comes to his like more positive aspects.
Hmm.
I don't know why I'm calling him David. I don't know him, but it's so
Well,
it's
in a
it's
way, we
such a
all know David.
yeah. It's such a heartfelt movie, straight story, and it just reminds you of how much of a heart he was. And I recently watched how much of a heart he had. And I recently watched Guillermo del Toro interview when he was talking about David Lynch and words he heard from Mark Frost about Lynch. And he said that he noticed most out of all things, and what made him think about what made him think the most is just how unironic Lynch was in that he actually thought pie and coffee is represents goodness in life, and he actually thought um the bluebird and blue velvet was the most beautiful thing he ever saw, and he genuinely um cared for his characters, and it's there's no irony in David Lynch movies, even though you can see it and you can be like, oh well, like if I'd see that thing in real life, I would say, well, that's just like a like there's like shit he says where he's like there's a big prevailing goodness over it all, and anyone else saying that I would say it's cringe, but when Lynch says it I believe it, and I know he believes it and that he doesn't think about it in any other way. And I think this movie really shows his heart in that his unirony and how real he is, and how in all of the darkness he senses in the world he can still find it within himself to make such a beautiful heartfelt film. And just that's what everyone talks about when they talk about the straight story, how like you can he can be weird, but you give him the challenge to be quite normal. And he does it better than most people. So
Mhm.
that's what this movie is in the context for me. What do you say?
Um, I mean, everything like you hit the nail on the head, really.
Yeah.
Um, I do want to add two things. One, just about David Lynch himself, and I think the fact
Yeah,
that
we'll talk about that.
so many people had so many good things to say about him. You know, like I keep seeing actors and people he's worked
Right,
with and
right.
directors and whatnot, like paying tribute, and it's so heartbreaking, but at the same time, it's really heartwarming because you kind of get to see, like, oh my God, like this man was truly loved. Like every
Right,
single
right.
person loved this guy. And I think that's such an admirable thing to be as a human, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
it's
Um,
just crazy.
It's nice to see that there's so many people out there like us that like really got touched by his art in like such a meaningful way. I mean, his movies are so special and so impactful. Um, when we watched Lost Highway the day before he passed in film class, which was a crazy. My film teacher started yelling, "I jinxed him!" I j-" After we found out that he passed in class the day after, because we watched Lost Highway and it was most people's first Lynch movie in that class. And I was sitting there laughing my ass off
That's a
because it's
crazy first
very,
Lynch movie.
yeah, it's an insane movie to start with. But people started walking out, which is like, all right, that makes sense. It's your first Lynch movie and you're fucking watching Lost Highway, but the people that stick around were so enveloped, so engrossed in it, and I heard from one of my closest friends who's never seen it before that she physically took an Advil after the movie because it gave her such a headache. And I'm like, that's the fucking power of cinema, man. Think what? How come video like film and sound and a screenplay and performances can have such a physical effect on you that she said she feels like she needs to puke and that she has a headache and she had to take a pill because of a film.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Um, Same thing with Straight Story or pieces of Twin Peaks that give you the most physical reaction. Um, either you're sobbing or whatever. But no one engrosses you like Lynch does.
No
Um,
way. And
and it's
I do
so
want to say, I think people who, you always get people that will watch a David Lynch movie and, you know, they're like, okay, how do I say this without sounding like better than people? Because that's not what I think. But like, we'll watch a Lynch movie and then they're like, oh my God, like I'm so confused. Like I don't know like what to
yeah,
make of it, which I
yeah.
totally get because I have also fallen victim to that where I'm like, what the hell is going on? But
Hmm.
I've I think I've now seen enough and I would like to say I know enough to the point where um you have to kind of just uh make
Feel
it
it.
yourself. You
Yeah,
yourself have to make meaning
yeah,
to what Lynch is presenting you. Because
yeah.
of course, in his head he knew what he was doing. Um,
Sometimes and sometimes
but
not. I mean, it's
mostly
just his
he is
dreams at the end of
presenting
the day.
questions, right?
Yeah,
He's not giving answers. We know that's for
yeah,
sure. But he's presenting us questions that are left unanswered, and we as the audience have to answer those questions and we have to make meaning of what he's giving us. So I think if you're going out there and you're going to watch a Lynch movie and you're confused, don't be confused. Make meaning of what you saw, give meaning to the story. I think
yeah.
that's a big purpose of his films.
I watched Mulholland Drive for the first time last month before he passed, and
Mhm.
you just separate. Sometimes with Lynch, it's easier to just separate the movie by scenes. Like this scene was really funny. This scene made me cry. This scene, not for the first watch at least, not to think about it as a whole.
Yeah,
And then later you can piece some things together narratively, but it's mostly, especially with Mulholland, it's like this is I'm really fucking with how I feel because of this movie and why am I laughing right now? Why, even though it's the most dreadful thing I've ever seen. And Lost Highway just shows how much of a self-conscious person he was, and like really art is therapy. And obviously Twin Peaks. I mean, there's not a day that goes by without that I don't think about Twin Peaks.
of
So
course.
I'm
And
going to a
James
Fire
Hurley's
Walk with Me
forehead.
screening early next month. So James Harden's part. I'm going to see Fire Walk with Me in theaters in a
Uh,
week. So
Such an insane theater experience. I got
yeah,
the privilege of seeing it in theaters. That shit was bonkers. Ugh,
but there's nothing like his movies.
no.
Anyways, Straight Story. Um, in Straight Story, it's interesting to see how different things throughout. Always in a Lynch movie, you make connections between them because thematically and like even aesthetically, in many things, you just see the same kind of colors repeating. Not only the same actors because he has his ensemble, but
Hmm.
um, just like lighting, different set design, where you're like, that reminds me of this living room from this movie, and this living room is like the dream and whatever. So it's always really interesting. And the straight story is quite removed. I mean, the only thing that I sense is like the slow crossfades, bits and pieces of the sense of humor, and like the lightning, the scenes with lightning. What did you see those like similar?
Between other films.
Yeah, of his.
I mean, like, I
Because like
think one of
Lost
the
Highway and Blue Velvet, I'm like, okay, Lost Highway, Blue Velvet, they have lots of similarities.
Highway.
Blue
Yeah, yeah.
Highway,
Yeah.
Lost Velvet, you know.
I think, well, to me, it's more of a, the one thing that I think is a through line between all his films, and this just goes to him being such a
Hmm.
genius, is that like the way he presents relationships,
Yeah,
if that makes sense. And I'm not saying that like the relationships in this film are same to the other ones, but I just think that he is so good at writing connections between people.
yeah,
And I'm sure somewhere in his filmography, um, Alvin and his daughter's relationship are similar to
right, right. You do
other
you do see that
relationships he's
connection.
written, right?
Yeah,
But I just think
and
like
it's such a cute
Audrey
relationship.
Horne and her dad, like you know what I mean? Like
Right, that's a
just
very different.
I know, I'm just giving an
Yeah,
example of like for example, I don't
insane. Laura
know.
Palmer and her. Sorry, that wasn't funny. Um, wow.
Oh, wow. Oh,
But
yeah. But I
father-daughter
think
relationships.
not even just father-daughter,
Sometimes.
but just like, brothers
Right.
or friends or like siblings, like
Yeah.
wives, right? Like wives, spouses, what am I saying? Um,
Whatever.
I don't know. I just think that like that's something that I was like, yeah, like this guy just has the sauce and he's able to like,
Yeah.
I don't know, make such like beautiful relationships and
Yeah.
connections. Um, Also the music.
Oh yeah, the music, the piano score, the
Durr.
musical score. Was it Angelo?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I picked that shit
Ooh.
up quick. I was like, the first note, I was like, this is him.
That there he is, man.
Yeah.
So the straight story. I wrote for Letterboxd that this movie is David Lynch's equivalent to Touching Grass after making Lost Highway in '97, in that it's like it's kind of a cleansing
Did you write that?
experience. Yeah. The first thing that I thought about,
Oh, you didn't put it
the
up yet.
no, the first thing that strikes you is the stars, the use of stars to like separate between chapters. Isn't that stunning? Isn't that like different chapters of the film every time there's like he looks up at the stars. Okay, now we know that we're going to a different like kind of theme, or like we're going into from one thing we learned about the character to like a new segment. We're gonna learn something different about him in this one. I don't know, it's insanely well written on that front. Um, what do you think about the stars?
I mean, like, I love stars, so I just thought like it was really beautiful. I
Stars
don't
are
know.
cute. Yeah.
What they're I wish I could just pick them up and put them in my pocket.
Hmm.
Um, but I didn't notice it like that, so that's really interesting
Yeah.
about how the stars are kind of um the start of like a different portion of the film.
Yeah.
That's a good anecdote. Um,
It kind of
but one
reminded.
thing that
Sorry.
I was just gonna say one thing that came to my mind was like, oh, like, it's just so beautiful that there's no light pollution, so they're able to actually like see the
Right.
stars.
Right.
Um,
That is a beautiful thing. I'm reminded of just because the love for life that Alvin has, of Perfect Days, of Inventor's Perfect Days, and how
mm,
every day in that movie is kind of like a different chapter of the movie, and every day it starts with um Hiromaya getting out of his apartment and looking up at the sky and taking it all in, breathing in. I was just reminded of that. because it is kind of like it is like a way to separate between different segments. Like in one segment you learn about oh, he looks up at the stars and then he meets a guy and they go to the bar and then you learn a little bit about his past in the war and then that night he looks up at the stars again and you know and that's the segment where he moves on from that. You know, it's really, I mean, the screenplay is brilliant.
Yeah.
But in terms of the beginning, I mean, everything with Sissy Spacek, the relationship, father daughter, she seems like such a sweet gal. I mean, she obviously has an impediment,
Yeah,
right? But
definitely.
she's I watched this with my mom, and she was like, it's cool how she's not like, my mom was like, it's cool how she's not just like a character with an impediment, but a character with an impediment that's strong enough to hold the household down, to care for
Yes.
these two elderly people, that that has her own ambitions and her own feeling of loss. And it's so interesting how everyone is fleshed out. It's amazing, and there's only like three characters. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
What do you
And
think of Sissy Spacek in this?
I I was thinking like very similar to pretty much what your mom said.
Hmm.
Um, and the fact that like shit, what was I gonna say? Wait, where'd it go? Okay, whatever. Um, I think the fact that like she has like so much trust in her father to go on this
Right.
journey is like something that's like really important because like, you know, he's old, right? And like what he's trying to do is like not an easy thing, or a safe thing for that matter. But I
Yeah.
just think that like kind of goes to show that like, you know, she loves him and she has enough trust in
Yeah.
him where she's like, yeah, I like you're gonna go do this and you're gonna go reunite with your brother and you're gonna go make things okay because at the end of the day, like life is short, man. Life
Yeah.
is really short. And we don't have enough time to be just sitting at home and doing nothing, right?
Yeah.
Especially
Um.
because he has like what is it called? My phone stopped. Um, emphysema,
Hmm.
which I thought was kind of funny because David Lynch got diagnosed with emphysema.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of ironic is the context to his whole death. I mean, the whole thing with the fires and that he was evacuated and smoke comes from fires, smoke comes from the cigars that you see all over his movies and on in his fingers in all of the interviews and in the straight story with the cigars. I mean, it's all so tied up in a bow, um, which is it's insane. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of like this man has reached a point in his life where it's like there's a certain age where it's like you're not gonna change, you're not gonna stop smoking, you're not gonna this. So it's all about this like unchanging. The movie starts in a really still fashion where it's like you just see this woman sitting and eating. Dorothy, her name is his wife. His
Mhm.
wife? I don't know. His
I
wife?
thought it was his wife, but
Yeah. It's funny she's called Dorothy because obviously David Lynch, Wizard of Oz, all that bullshit.
right.
But yeah, it starts in a really still scene, and then there's like slow movement, and then return, and then it's just a very unlike David Lynch in how linear it is. It's just stop here, then move here, point A to point B, back to point A, and then from B to C to D to D to E, and then F or whatever. It's really interesting because did he write the screenplay? Well, it is based on a real story,
He
right?
didn't.
Yeah, it's based on a true story. It's like a more of a commercial thing. I don't know how this movie came to be and what how he came to direct it, but
I'm
it's a
surprised he
great
like
choice for a
agreed to work
director.
with Disney.
Yeah, I don't
That
think
was,
Disney was considered as much of an awful corporate back
I
then.
guess back then, yeah. Yeah.
But now, this is a commercial film as well. Like it
Yeah,
works
no, it
for
is.
bigger, although it is very slow.
Hmm.
Which is what's cool about it that it's commercial and slow at the same time. Um, so he departs on his journey. The whole thing in the store that's behind me. That that's an awful good grabber. That's a good grabber. What do you need to do with the grabbing? With the grabber? Grab
I'm
or
gonna
whatever,
grab,
however that goes. Grabbing. What are you gonna do with the grabber? Grabbing.
grabbing.
Um,
Also,
again, yeah.
so I want to highlight because another really funny line was whenever Dorothy was like, "Call 911. What's the
What
number
number
for
is
911?"
911? Yeah, we were laughing
I
at
was
that one.
laughing. That was funny.
It's like cinematographically, this movie is always attracted to the sky. The camera is always in like a mo movement like upwards, which is so it's such like a hopeful kind of thing where it's like it's transcendent. It's like we're constantly looking at the sky and like sensing everything. It's a such a mindful kind of experience, which is it's so cleansing. It's so
Yeah,
nice. Um, Especially nowadays. I mean, there's just nothing like this movie. So it's very attracted to the sky and the salesman. The next thing I wrote is about the salesman in the scene that's behind you being Ed from Twin Peaks. So, what
yes.
what else did you write?
Um, I just love how he has his like group of people and he just like puts them
Yeah,
in
yeah.
different roles when he needs them.
So
Like,
fun.
ugh. And of course, none of them could ever say no because it's David Lynch.
Right.
Um, oh, the next scene I had was like the deer
Oh, that's a funny one. I
and
mean,
how
it's fun.
when he cooked the deer,
Yeah,
kept
that
cooking it.
whole
I was
sequence is hilarious. And she's like, I have to go every day, and every day I run over a new one, and I like deers. And then she fucking drives off and then cooks it and puts antlers on its.
that was funny as fuck.
That was very
Um,
Lynchian humor,
yeah,
which is funny.
yeah.
Um,
I
but
also
yeah,
had
she's
the
sorry.
no go.
She's the only character where he encounters that he doesn't inflict some kind of moral on. That like
Yeah.
she has some kind of problem like the two brothers have, or there's a bunch of different conflicts that he kind of solves or like says what he has to say about them. But in that one, he just listens, which is
Hmm.
interesting because it's the only scene that directly deals with death in that you see a dead body in it. Um, so I'm not sure what to make of it, but it is a very funny scene and it's interesting for sure. Um yeah, any other director would direct that scene very differently and less comically.
Yeah.
Um it was quite interesting screenplay wise. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say I also had written, I forgot, I skipped it on accident. Um, the
What?
the hitchhiker.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I teared
That
up.
was very interesting.
I'm so cringe. I I teared
Oh,
up
you teared up.
at the bundle of sticks and shit. It's like family is like a bunch of sticks tied up in a knot, and then she ties up a bunch of sticks, and you're like, she's probably going back to her family now.
Yeah.
Good old Christian values, and I love it.
Woo!
Kidding. Um, I don't like it because it's Christian values. It's so
Yeah,
sweet.
yeah. No, I
It's
know.
so, um it's just such a sweet scene. I'm such a sucker for it. Yeah. Did you write anything about that? Or?
Well, I was kind of pissed at first because I was like, okay, she's rude. She's not gonna wave to him.
Yeah.
But then
Fuck
like
you.
she ended up coming around and they ended up having that
Yeah.
whole conversation
Sharing
about her
some
being pregnant and whatnot. And
sharing some wieners.
yeah.
Another situation where he's talking to someone and kind of t sharing his wisdom with them.
Yep.
Um, Next thing I wrote about was his performance, who I don't know the name of the actor, and I'm gonna look at it right fucking now.
Hmm.
But what a performance! I mean,
Yeah.
what a casting choice. Richard Farnsworth, who
He
in
got
his
nominated for an
picture
Oscar.
for this one.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if he ever met the real man, but it's quite interesting if he did that. But the real man is it's basically the same story you see in the film. The story became famous. He died in 92, but before he passed away, he was invited to go on a bunch of talk shows and shit, and he rejected
Mhm.
everything. So it's interesting that he accepted. I mean, his family accepted doing the movie, and I hope some. I mean, he got compensated for a deed that didn't really need compensation in his eyes, but it's quite, I don't know, what a man, you know? He's
Yeah.
like a sweet guy. Um, but he's also passed, like he's a veteran, with some pretty intense stories from the war.
Hmm.
That scene is pretty intense in general in the bar. Like you get
Yeah.
really, it gets really intense real fast with the sound design as well, where you're like, wow, that this guy's crying now, you know?
No,
What
yeah,
do you
his
think of the
performance was very good. I think it goes to show that like, like acting has no age limits. I think a lot of people
For sure.
have this kind of
He died a year
idea that
after this. Like,
did he really?
yeah,
Mm.
he was
Um,
79 when they
wow.
filmed. So,
People have this idea that like the older you get, like your acting abilities diminishes and gets
mhm.
worse. And I'm like, that's so
Especially women.
not true. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
That's like not true at all.
at all.
Um, if you have the sauce, you have the sauce, man.
For sure, for sure. I mean, this guy
Look at
was
Anthony
in,
Hopkins. Woof.
wow. This guy was in Stanley Kubrick's Spartacus and
Mm.
Blazing Saddles and Gone with the Wind and in Misery. So
Oh
what a
shit, wow.
fucking, yeah, wow. Lots of iconic
What a
movies and a
catalog
filmography,
he
I'd say.
has.
Yeah, for sure. But he's just a perfect casting choice. So is Harry Dean Stanton at the end, because
Oh
it's
my
also sad
God.
to see Harry Dean who passed away as well. Um,
I want to just say I love Harry Dean Stanton. Like every
Fucking
single
love that
thing
guy.
he's in, I
Yeah.
smile so hard.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to see him.
Do you know that video where he's like, "There's, I don't see myself. There is no self."
No, I haven't seen
You
that
know that video
video.
of him and David sitting together? He's like, "What do you have to impart on the world?" And Harry Dean Stanton's like, "There is no self. There is no legacy. We all just fucking die."
And that's why they get along so well.
Yeah. He's a great actor. I mean, Paris, Texas is like wow. But it
Yeah.
was nice to see him in this. I was like, "Oh, Harry Dean," you know, made me even more emotional about that last scene.
Oh my
Um
God. The last scene, I just wrote down that the whole movie was worth it just for that 1 minute
How
interaction.
amazing it is. Because like you're in it for the end. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
wow. And it's not even that much of like a, in a way it would have been more cringe to say to make a movie that's more like it's more about the journey than the destination, or like he's trying to, like a movie nowadays would be like, oh, he imparts a really like it's so worth it for, the journey and like all the people he met along the way, and like it would
Yeah.
make it cringe. But at the end of the day, there's a man who has a goal, and
Yep.
he passes some kind of journey, but he's a very stable character. He's a very flat character for most of the film. Like
Yeah.
he mostly just like leaves pieces of himself everywhere. He doesn't gain too much new because he's stagnant. He's unchanging. He's very elderly, and that's how old people are. And that's okay to just be like, this movie was worth it for the ending. And it's amazing.
Oh my
It's
God.
so
I mean,
emotional.
so much conveyed between two guys who
Yeah.
didn't really even say anything, just went from their face.
Yeah.
You can just tell like what was being said amongst them and how the fact that he rode down all the way to Mount Zion, right? That's how you say it, Mount
Mhm.
Zion,
Mhm.
on a tractor for his brother.
Yeah, and when Harry Dean realizes what his brother did to him, and that
Yep.
moment where he stands in front of the house, Alvin stands in front of the house and thinks that I forgot the brother's name, Lillian, something like that, something with an
Was
L.
it?
He thinks his brother isn't there, or he's passed away, and he's so devastating. And then his brother calls back, and oh, just everything about that scene is
So good.
spectacular. Spectacular. And then that ending
Um,
with the shot of the stars and shit. What was I gonna say about the Joan Baez? The guitar riff from the musical score went bum 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 bum, and then it ended. and then it like went to a different segment. But that's the same
Oh,
exact chord
Lyle. Sorry,
structure.
Lyle.
Lyle. That's the same exact chord structure as the beginning of Joan Baez's Diamonds and Rust. Bum bum
Oh,
bum.
is it
Well, I'll
really?
be damned. Here comes your ghost again. Listen to it. It's really interesting.
Oh shit! I didn't pick up on that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is I don't know if that's probably not intentional, but it's kind of a song that has something to do with death and memory, which is like interesting.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, the scenes with the brothers is really funny. The guy with the band-aid and his mechanic brother, where he manages to get the price down. But it's all very like conventional comedy kind of bit in that one, even though there's like some kind of Lynchian pan to everything.
Yeah.
That's really all I wrote. I don't know.
Me as well. I just think that this was a really great, wholesome film.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed the experience I had with it.
it's adorable. I mean, it's adorable and it's a little transcendent,
Yeah,
actually. It's very emotional. Did you tear up?
I
Or
didn't know.
Hmm. Psycho, unfeeling bastard.
Mm.
Anyways, should we just get ratings out of the way and then
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have a rating for this. I mean, what do you say?
I don't know, like four.
Yeah, something along the lines of that. It functions under a very kind of Hollywood-esque, kind of like based on a true story film kind of thing, which is like, all right. But it
Yeah,
does make up for that, and it's such a sweet film. I feel like 4.5 is too between 4 and 5 for it to be good for you know some movies are like 4.5 movies, but this one is like a
yeah.
4 because it's 4 is like a really simple like kind of even number, you know?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm going for 4 as
I think
well.
four is very
Yeah, it's
yeah.
for that. Um, we'll take off our backgrounds and we'll announce next podcast's pick real quick. But yeah, straight story, amazing, just amazing.
Okay, guys. So, we don't know when we're gonna film the next episode, but hopefully soon. But I'm picking this week's film, and oh, we have a minute and 50 seconds. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me just start by introducing this. This director, we have done a film of his before, okay? And I'm choosing this film because I feel like it's very politically relevant right now in the United States.
Okay.
Um, and, I feel like what better way to criticize this nation than by talking about it through the lens of film. Um, Anyways, so this again, we've done a movie, we've done a film by this man. This so should I read the description and then you
Yeah.
can all right. No child has been born for 18 years. He must protect our only hope. In 2027, in a chaotic
Children
world
of
in which
Men.
humans, yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay. Yes,
You want to finish the
children.
synopsis?
Sure.
Oh my
In
God.
2027, in a chaotic world in which humans can no longer procreate,
Wait, fast, fast, fast.
a former activist agrees to help transport miraculously pregnant women to a sanctuary at sea where her children's birth may help scientists save the future of humankind.
All right,
Alfonso
stunning. I
Cuarón,
haven't seen this.
2006.
I haven't seen this. I'm really excited. Have you seen it?
No.
All right. See you guys next week with Children of Men.
Yes, absolutely.
We're back,
Bye,
baby.
guys.
Bye.